And here we go. Welcome, everyone. I'm happy you're here today. It's snowing here at the center. For those of you on live stream, I bet you're all bundled up, cozy, warm with a cup of coffee. We will be soon. Right now, though, we're going to make ourselves cozy by celebrating with music. Welcome to our music team. And if you're able, why don't we stand and we'll sing our way into this service.
Swing up in my heart, give thanks for the day. Gonna let love fill me up, get right back to the start. This is how I was made, free from the worry and free from the fear. I know spirit is peace, loving kindness in me right now, right here, singing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Swing open my heart, give thanks for the day. Gonna let love fill me up, get right back to the start. This is how I was made, free from the worry and free from the fear. I know spirit is peace, loving kindness in me right now, right here, singing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing don't worry, no don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Sing don't worry, singing don't worry, no don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, every little thing is gonna be alright. Sing it out. Yeah, every little thing is gonna be alright. Well, good morning. I could hear your voices so loud and clear. Say hello to some of those neighbors out there. Time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 All right. Well, good morning again. We'd like to invite any of our kids who are here today to come up and join our staff, our awesome teaching staff. They're going to go outside maybe and play in the snow a little bit. We're going to sing them out into their classroom today, their outdoor classroom. 1, 2. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. Got Mother Nature and the human race. The world's got trees and bumblebees, rivers and lakes and the open seas, mountains and valleys and animals too, and a sun that shines on me and you. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. Got Mother Nature and the human race. We got Mother Nature and the human race.
Hello. How is everyone? Wonderful. Aren't they wonderful? Right? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I am stuck on something. I'm stuck on you all. How's that? What about this weather? I mean, I saw a robin yesterday. I'm going, oh my God, spring. Right? Spring, buds are blooming on my lilac bush, and then all of a sudden, winter goes, hold my beer. What are you going to do, right? Well, what we're going to do now is just take a nice deep breath and settle in. Because there's only one. One power, one presence, one beingness that surrounds us with love, with grace, with happiness, with laughter, with joy. And I know that for myself and everyone gathered here, we're ready to embrace the change that we will experience today as we hear the amazing words from Dr. A and listen to the wonderful music from our band and just luxuriate in all the good that is surrounding us right now. So as we take the moment to enjoy the good and to let it fill us up, I know that I can just declare this: amazingly happy and good. And I just release this into the action of law, knowing that it's whole and complete, as I simply say, and so it is.
Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without, all I need surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me now and Where there's error, let me love. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me now and evermore. I am standing on the edge, leaning out with every breath. I am longing for something more. The path isn't clear, but I see a door. Awe and wonder to be found. I'm setting out for sacred ground. There's a stirring, a fire in me, oh blessed light, oh mystery. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. I am standing on the edge, leaning out with every breath. I am longing for something more. The path isn't clear, but I see a door. I am longing for something more. The path isn't clear, but I see a door. Awe and wonder to be found. I'm setting out for sacred ground. There's a stirring, a fire in me. Oh, blessed light, oh, mystery. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. Sing through my voice. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. Sing through my voice, play through my hands. Let the way be open. Let the way be open.
May I invite Wanda Maddox and Leo Brody, Leo Brody, that's what I thought. Could you come up and help me with the welcoming of new members? I didn't warn them. But they're practitioners, they're ready for everything. So each member gets a flower.
Okay.
And we have this time name tags, because we want all of you who maybe don't know these wonderful people to know who they are. So when you hear your name, I'll have you come up front here. I won't make you be on stage. And we always give our new members a flower as a symbol of the spiritual unfolding that we intend for everyone who comes here. And so it's a symbol, and they're very bright and spring-like right now. So may I have Carl Wishner come forward, Chris Hyde, Deborah Gay, Reverend Deborah Gay, Gayla Myers, J.C. Coughlin, Karen Weesey, Malcolm Strand, Shirlene Greathouse, Ian Whitelaw, Kristen Whitelaw, and Jean Louise Green. Come on up, everybody. Okay, they're there somewhere. See, we're learning. There's Ian. Okay, Ian and Kristen. There's Jean Louise. There we go. Great. And another hearty welcome, and you get to go sit down. It's always really exciting to have folks stepping in like that. Thank you. Gayla didn't make it today. Yeah. Well, welcome again. Gosh, we started a new month of theme, and we're sort of building through the years. So if you're brand new with us, the theme for the year is living beautifully in change, and I forget the other word. So we just shortened it to living beautifully because it's like way too long. But today is a long title. It has to do with the theme of the month, which is cultivating fearlessness and compassion. Two things. And so the title today was based on a quote, "The Uncharted Territories of Inner Truth." And part of that quote is, in search of what it means to be genuine and at peace with who I really am. And I know I'm singing to the choir here, because I don't think there's anybody that finds their way to a CSL center that hasn't already wrestled this one to the ground. Who am I really, and can I genuinely show up in life the way I am, who I am, as I am? And it takes courage to do that. So that's kind of part of my talk today. Early on in my spiritual path, I was studying a man who had died, but was very much a part of all of my teacher's thoughts, named Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And he actually was Pema Chodron's teacher. So many people know Pema Chodron. He was known in Tibetan Buddhist circles as a coyote, meaning that he came from a lineage of crazy wisdom. So he kind of threw people curveballs all the time to keep them off balance so that they would not be habituated and could kind of open up. But this is one of his more mellow quotes. And it has to do with fearlessness, which is what the theme for the month is. True fearlessness is not the reduction of fear, but going beyond it. And so cultivating fearlessness means going beyond fear, but not necessarily expecting it to all just sort of vanish forever. And then the second part of our month's theme is cultivating compassion. And so compassion in this sense is not pity. Maybe if you looked up the Webster's definition of compassion, pity is in there. And I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Sorry, Mr. Webster. But no, no, the compassion that this month speaks to is this. It indicates a sense of companionship with others, combined with a deep empathy that arises in the face of suffering and which gives rise to action. So compassion is not passive, it's active. And it's both an inner understanding or feeling that is evoked when we encounter suffering in the world or in people we love or in any species that gives rise to great empathy, meaning standing alongside that and being part of that stand and acting. So it's an action step, which I don't know about you, but when fears got me by the throat, it's easy to kind of just freeze. But when we combine that with either self-compassion or compassion for something in the world that has made us frozen, we are called into action with great empathy. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. And it has two parts, this talk. The first has to do with personal self-compassion. So when we begin to chart the territory of our inner truth, and we begin to bump up against some of the assumptions that we were trained into thinking were correct, and we realize that for us they're not. When we bump into places in the territory of our heart where we've been operating from what turns out to be someone else's idea of how we should be, then self-compassion, meaning great empathy for ourselves and action, need to arise. And as they arise, they help us with the fear of stepping into a different place and owning that the way it has been is not the way that's accurate anymore for who we've become. This can apply, I'm sure in your own mind you're thinking about all the times in your life, and if you're not, let's do that, shall we? Think of all the times in your life where you've been going along, kind of getting along, and then you realize this is not right for me. Does anybody have, raise your hand, really. Yeah. Sometimes it took someone else in our life leaving before we could go, after all the anger and despair and all that stuff, but finally go, oh, it wasn't right for me. I just didn't see it. And sometimes it takes a moment to really kind of come into a place of recognition, at which point self-compassion is incredibly important. Because often the person that requires compassion is ourselves for staying in situations without realizing that it wasn't right. So we can actually be very angry at ourselves or feel very, well, I don't know what you'd feel, but I felt sort of like, wow, how did I not see that? You know? So there's a self-compassion piece. And so as I was thinking about self-compassion, I realized that one of the most important capacities of that is to have inner courage. And of course, you remember that courage comes from the old Latin French word cœur, which means heart. And its original meaning meant to share your whole heart. And so when we develop inner courage to own the fact that now we need to be in a different place with ourselves, it takes a great deal of sharing our whole heart first with ourselves so that we can become clear, and then to others who maybe are in a little bit of resistance with the changes that are coming their way. So last week I was talking about, if you weren't here, I was talking about there are 3 components that are required to allow ourselves to be in alignment with our truest nature. And they're really kind of the inner compass that'll help us chart the uncharted territories. The first one that I talked about last week was energy flow, paying attention to our energy, noticing the places where we just feel blocked or we feel a decrease in energy when we're putting ourselves in certain situations. It's important to pay attention to that. One of the things that then awakens often is congruence. Are we being congruent with our truest nature? And the energy flow tells us yes or no. It's actually not that hard. It's just that we're not trained to think like this. So we pay attention to the energy flow to see if, am I out of congruence with my truest nature? Am I doing things, in other words, that really don't fit with who I am? Hopefully, whoever's listening today, this doesn't mean that you're going to march into your employment and say, this is not congruent with my true self and I'm quitting. Pause there. It's a good awareness and probably means you will transition, but it doesn't have to be acted on right away. It's more like an awareness that happens. And when we come into a recognition of what we've been doing with our energy and not doing, and we begin to align, that's the third step, is we align with our energy flow more fully. And all of a sudden, I mean, sometimes for some of us, it feels like we have more energy than we've had in our whole life, because all of a sudden we're actually living our truth. We're actually coming from that, living and insisting on it in ourselves. So all of this is a very powerful act of compassion for ourselves. And when we have that, we can then continue to align and be congruent and watch the energy flow with wisdom by really developing practices that help keep us in that state. And so in my life and many of your lives, the way we've done that, just simply sharing with you how I've done it all these years, is I developed a spiritual path. Spirituality, in other words, became primary, and everything else was part of that. So my relationship became part of my spiritual path, and I began to treat my partner as part of my spiritual practice, which sometimes was lovely and sometimes was instructive. Same was true in parenting. I realized early on that parenting was a spiritual practice and a very difficult one, and that everything I was learning about my spiritual life could be applied to how to parent my children in a way that was nurturing and caring and clear. So developing a spiritual path for me, and I don't know how you've done it, but for me, I knew that I needed to have a regular spiritual practice, which in my initial stages of development was spiritual study. I had young children. Meditation was off the table. I tried it, I really did, but if I set my time of meditating at 6 and they normally woke up at 7, they woke up at 6. If I set it for 5:30, guess what they did? They woke up at 5:30. So it was like, okay, scratch that for now. We're not doing meditation on a regular basis. Instead, we'll do spiritual study. So that's what I did for years here in a Science of Mind center. I learned all about the basic principles of how to live my life from a spiritual perspective here in a center very much like this. And it was so incredibly helpful, and I'm sure you're finding that too. It went beyond Sunday, which was a wonderful kind of glorious sharing in a large group, into much more of a small group experience of talking about spiritual principles and learning them. But then after study, I began to be involved in how to apply spiritual practices and spiritual principles. And so I moved into volunteering and helping in a center. And let me tell you, the greatest practice, field of practice in spiritual work is people. Right? I mean, it's lovely to have compassion and love and kindness toward people you like. It's spiritual practice to do that when you don't like them. And we're called to do that, or at least I was. I don't know about you. I had a teacher once, he was very witty, and he said, we're called actually not to like everyone, but to love everyone, and there's a difference. So personal compassion, self-compassion involves allowing ourselves to practice in such a way that we begin to see where we've cut ourselves off from our truest nature, and then to nurture ourselves into allowing those to express. But it doesn't really stop there. And what we see in our world now is more and more people becoming aware that the spiritual path needs to go beyond a personal, private expression. It has to move into the world if we hope to, one, save the planet, and two, have a society that we want to be in. And so I see in the world a real uprising of the call for spiritual people to move their practice of self-compassion into compassion more fully into the world. And this is the next level of practice for all of us. And not everybody's ready to do it. I hope that's good news for some of you. I know when I began to realize that I needed to move my compassion into a larger field, I was intimidated by the scope of what's happening in our world and how can I possibly help with some of these global issues. It was overwhelming. And so I've evolved my understanding of what that takes. And I brought you a poem that really helped me, and I've asked it to be put up on the screen. This is one of my favorite poets, William Stafford. William Stafford was a conscientious objector in World War II, which was so unpopular that he and the other objected were put in the equivalent of a prisoner of war camp in Oregon. There were several around our country. I don't know if you knew that. And they were not treated well. They were semi-starved until the village, the little town that was near this place, began to realize that these people were starving and began to bring food to them. So they built roads and they built trails and they did all kinds of work to serve the country in a way that they could with their true selves do. So he became a poet. He wrote a poem every day before getting out of bed. Not all of them were good, because he said that. He said, not every single poem I'm going to write is going to be brilliant, but by practicing my craft, I hone who I am and what I'm seeking to say. So this is one of the poems he wrote early in the morning called The Little Ways That Encourage Good Fortune. Wisdom is having things right in your life and knowing why. If you do not have things right in your life, you will be overwhelmed. You may be heroic, but you will not be wise. If you have things right in your life but do not know why, you're just lucky. And you will not move in the little ways that encourage good fortune. The saddest are those not right in their lives, who are acting to make things right for others. They act only from the self, and that self will never be right. No luck, no help, no wisdom. Kind of a grim little poem there at the end. However, I actually read a poet's critique of this poem, and he said, if you really look at the simplicity of this, it's like your grandmother saying to you as you leave for school, remember who you are. Remember what you stand for. So wisdom is having things right in your life and knowing why. And if you don't have things right, and in the context of this talk, I'm speaking, I don't know what he was talking about, but for me, I'm talking about your truest nature, aligning with that, congruent with that. If you don't have that, you'll be overwhelmed. And that's partly what happened to me is I know who I am and I know what I stand for, but in the larger stage of the world and all the issues that confront everybody, I didn't know. It was a growth process for me to come into how do I work with that, being who I am. I can't work with certain things because I'm just too tender. It'll eat me up. So what can I do? And so for me, I was grateful to have a teacher who was a social activist, but was actually primarily a spiritual teacher. His name was Thich Nhat Hanh, and he was a Zen Buddhist from Vietnam who came to the United States during the Vietnamese War with the United States to ask for peace and to tell people about the consequences that were happening in his homeland because of this war. And so he actually was my teacher for 27 years. And I learned a lot about how to bring myself to the larger issues without being overwhelmed. And so one of the things that was important that I learned was that I can't do everything. I can only do one thing well, right? And so I need to choose an area that really calls to my truest self and work within that framework. The second thing that I learned from not just him, but all of his monks and nuns that had been with him from the beginning of being exiled from Vietnam because he was asking for peace, living in France. So what they taught me was this, that it's critical to practice self-compassion in the work in the larger arena. And the way they arranged themselves was every single week they have in their monastery a lazy day. And on a lazy day, they do no meditation, they do no work, they take care of themselves. They're encouraged to string a hammock up and read a book, or do origami, or to do flower arranging, or to simply walk and breathe and be in the goodness of nature, to really be lazy, to not take anything on. And they did that because they had been overwhelmed by the need of the world that they were working in, and to not be overwhelmed, they had to take care of themselves first. And Thich Nhat Hanh used to talk a lot about how activists would come and they would be so burned out. And it was because they were going, throwing themselves into the work, until there was nothing left. And it's I think, much more compassionate to the self and to the cause that we might adopt to take good care of ourselves. It's also important for me, and this I also gained from my learning from Thich Nhat Hanh, that compassion extends to the people that are suffering, who are evidently suffering. So why don't we take the war in Gaza, the Israeli-Gaza war, and it's a touchy issue, right? And so what's easy for me to see about this particular war is the suffering of both sides. And how difficult it is, depending on who you're looking at, to hold compassion for the other. Most of us want to make someone wrong and someone right. And in situations like this, it's important to understand the context of the whole thing, which is not now, but millennia. And so in understanding the context, it allows us to maybe hold everyone as suffering and to work with compassion that way. I got to tell you, it's not popular. It's not popular. Thich Nhat Hanh was not liked by the North Vietnamese or the South Vietnamese or America because he was holding compassion for everybody. One reporter said to him once, well, are you from the North or the South? And he stopped for a minute and he said, I am from the middle. So I'm suggesting that you take an unpopular stance and check out, can we have compassion for everyone that's suffering, understanding that there may be people that you have greater empathy for, but also appreciating that there's suffering everywhere and having that kind of compassion. What that does is it allows the heart to remain open to solutions rather than closed and making things divided. There's great examples of this, by the way. I was thinking of one time there was someone that was very, very upset with their family, their father in particular, at a retreat in Plum Village that I was at, and really angry at their father. And probably a person in their 30s. And the advice that came to them from Thich Nhat Hanh was, get a picture of your father when he was 6 years old and put it on your altar, and every day remember him as a 6-year-old child. In other words, understand that your father didn't become this way without something happening. The context, right? The same is true with Ram Dass. I don't know how many of you know about Ram Dass, great spiritual teacher, passed away a few years ago. But during the height of his teachings, he really, really, really didn't like Dick Cheney. And so he put a picture of Dick Cheney on his altar and held compassion for Dick Cheney. Not this kind of compassion. God, I wish you'd get over yourself and see what's right. But rather understanding the context of the whole thing. So, let me review. Compassion for self is critical to be able to move in the world and be of assistance. It requires us to align with who our truest self is and then compassionately work with the blocks that we might have within. Once we are living from that place and sturdy in it, our heart is sturdy, we can work with fear for the world and fear for the things that are happening in the world and choose to offer ourselves with compassion into a larger arena. Always reminding ourselves to take good care of ourselves so that we can take good care of others. And holding compassion for the whole thing, wherever we're moving, so that there's not a us and them set up in the world, which unfortunately is the root of all suffering. So let me do a prayer for that, and we'll move into our day after music and announcements. So join me in understanding and knowing that there is one vast field of energy that holds all things, flows through all things, is within each of us listening today. This vast field is responsive to our deeply held ideas and thoughts, bringing them into reality by means of our consciousness. And so I know for myself and know for you that there is a renewed compassion for the path that each of us walks, that there is an understanding of unfolding and developing over time a deeply spiritual, compassionate love for ourselves and all others. And that as we walk this path, aware of this, Spirit, the field of energy that we inhabit, knows exactly how to direct and guide and move with love and compassion through us, opening heart, awakening inner courage, and allowing us to move forward with clarity. I'm grateful, and I accept this prayer operating from this day forward in me. If you too would like this prayer to be operative, all you need to do is say, and so it is. Thank you. All right, we're inviting the band to come forward, and we're inviting our ushers to come forward. Thank you so much for the spiritual practice of giving to a place like this. I mean, for me, tithing, giving to a spiritual place or a spiritual teacher supports not only me, but supports everyone who comes. It's a real generous act. So thank you for your generosity. It means a lot.
Even now I am able, even now I am free. Even now I can feel the Spirit washing over me. Even now I can find the love in everyone I see. Even now I am free. Even now I am healthy. Even now even now I can feel the Spirit deep down in my soul. Even now I can choose a path of peace and harmony. Even
Just a couple of announcements for you. There's a class starting this coming Tuesday, and today's the last time to sign up for it. It's a class that I'm teaching. I've invited some of my friends to come and share their spiritual practices during our time together. It's Tuesday nights from 6 to 8:30, and you can sign up for that class at the Ask Me desk or online if you get it in today. We are reading this book, How to Meditate by Pema Chodron, and if you already have the book, you can read part 1 right up to the part after breathing. You know, meditation, breathing, all goes together. So welcome to that. We have, I think, over 20 students already signed up. Very exciting. And then this week is the start of a wonderful networking opportunity for those of us who have small businesses, we're entrepreneurs, maybe we're managers, and it's called Spirit at Work, where we have a breakfast together and a speaker. This kickoff Wednesday, I'm going to be the speaker. And it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning to 9:30, and it's a real opportunity for those of us who maybe have a small business and we don't get to talk to other entrepreneurial type folks or look at it from the angle of spirituality to come together. So we'd love you to sign up. Registration is online. The fee is $30, but nobody is turned away due to lack of funds. So don't let that stop you. Come and have breakfast with us and enjoy the opportunity of meeting like-minded spiritual folk who are running their own businesses or managing in some way. Let's see. Next week, women's group will be here in the sanctuary. They have a wonderful thing planned. And also in the classroom, our men's group will be meeting. So you're invited, if you identify with one of those groups, to go and be part of those. They're a growing source of support here in our community. And then Heather Qualley, raise your hand, Heather, there she is. Heather Qualley happens to be knowledgeable about doing taxes. And she knows that some of you maybe haven't done yours yet and might like a little advice and help in completing them. So on one day only, March 11th, so a week from tomorrow, she has 6 time slots open and will help you complete your taxes. And depending on the complexity, there's sort of a sliding scale thing. And 15% of everything you pay, she's donating back to the center. So thank you, Heather. And so there's a sign up at the Ask Me desk, and we'd love you to sign up for one of those 6 time slots if this would help you in any way. So once a year, every year, the center has an annual general meeting. And this is a time where we elect our board members for the coming board service time. We tell you about what we've done in the past year, and we share the vision for the future. So the annual general meeting is always on the 3rd Sunday of March, which happens to be St. Patrick's Day this year. So wear green. And because of that, we're also having a potato bar. So we feed people for this meeting because it takes about an hour, a little longer, and we want people to, be fed while we share all the goodness that's happening here at the center and has happened. So you're welcome to come. Members especially, we are hoping that you will come because members are the ones that vote for approving the financials for the past year and voting in the board members. So if you're a member, either watching from home or here, please mark your calendar. It's an in-person only event, so we hope you can come and be part of it. And then we did a fabulous care cookie event last month where we made care cookies for those who are unhoused and living not in the camps, but rather other places. We have people that take the cookies to the trailheads, and sometimes those cookies, they get 2 in a package, are all they have for that day. So likewise, we're doing a community cooking event with hot food. And if you would like to help me cook, or you can maybe not help me cook because of the timing, which is 2:30 to 4:30 on Monday, March 25th, maybe you could help with getting some of the ingredients. So there's an ingredient list, there's a cook sign-up list, and we do have, I don't think we have it on the sign-up sheet right now, but we have heard that hand warmers and foot warmers would be deeply appreciated too. So if you just want to bring those, we'll make sure they get to the people who will distribute them. All right, that's enough from me. Why don't we stand if we're able, and we'll sing our way into the day.
Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I will love. Where there is sadness, I will bring joy. Where there is darkness, I will shine. I am an instrument of peace. Let's sing, make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I will love. Where there is sadness, I will bring joy. Where there is darkness, I will shine. I am an instrument of peace. Sing, I am an instrument of peace. 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 You all have a beautiful week, and we'll see you again soon.